Senator Roger Marshall, Republican from Kansas, joins me now. Will you vote against Manchin's bill and maybe shut down the government?
I'm voting no. I'll
Good.
put the over-under that maybe 52 senators will vote yes on this, and it's going to take 60. But let's call this what it is. This is the Mountaineer kickback. Good for West Virginia, horrible for the rest of the country. This bill is inflationary, and let me tell you exactly what I mean by that. Look, energy accounts for about 1/3 of inflation, and this amendment is going to drive up the cost of energy. It will allow FERC, the federal government, to base their permitting decisions based upon the origin of the energy. So they would permit a transmission line for, say, wind or solar, but they wouldn't permit it, say, for nuclear, for coal, for natural gas. Let me tell you about the Kansas experiment really quickly. In Kansas right now, over 50% of the electricity is generated from wind. Most of that is being shifted out of the state. We're paying a disproportionate share of that transmission cost, and now our energy costs are gone up, and we're not reliable. Affordability, reliable, very important. This is horrible legislation. It'll be inflationary. America doesn't want it.
Apart from which, the Manchin bill does not stop lawsuits forever holding up every project. That's what they always do. They go to court, they win, liberal law, whatever, and nothing gets done. The Manchin bill does nothing about that.
Right. This does not help the rest of the country. Shelley Moore Capito, Senator Shelley Moore Capito has legislation that would significantly help permitting. We'll try to get that on the floor as well. I agree with Joe Manchin about this, is that it takes too long for permitting. It should be two years or less. This legislation does nothing to reform NEPA,
Exactly.
Doesn't do anything to fight back on WOTUS. This is horrible legislation that's going to drive the cost of energy up and decrease reliability.
Got it. Senator, you're going to force a vote on ending the COVID emergency. Why do you want to end the COVID emergency?
Right. So this president uses this COVID emergency to justify his inflationary spending. So he wants more spending because if he says COVID is out there, he also uses that emergency to enforce his unconstitutional rules like that mask mandates. We're still having preschool kids have required masks, believe it or not, in Head Start. So we need to push back on them, take this away from them. He weaponizes it. He uses power. This is part of his social grab, his socialism, radical socialism that Joe Biden proposes. That's why in November we need a change. We need that cavalry to come.
Senator Roger Marshall, Republican, Kansas. Thanks for joining us, sir. I know we'll see you again soon. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, George.
We just